Welcome students. Today we'll look at production. As we can see in English, production is making goods and services which are to be sold. So let's put it in a more economic definition. Production is the creation of utility to satisfy human wants. Production consists of all activities which provide goods and services to satisfy human wants. Production is all those activities that provide utility which satisfy utility or to satisfy human wants. So in production there are goods and services created, and these goods and services can satisfy human wants. Utility in this definition comes in the form of goods and services. These goods and services have utility, provide utility that provides satisfaction towards human. Note, production is only said to be complete when the product has reached the final consumer. Note that if you make shoes, and you want to call it a production process, it's only complete when somebody has bought these shoes to resell or bought them and is wearing them. That is when you call that process production. It is complete at that moment. So let's look at the production process. The production process begins with factors of production. These factors of production are employed in the process in the form of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur or entrepreneurship. These are factors of production. They are employed in a process called production process to come out with. They are employed in the production process to come out with output, which are goods and services. So this whole table you see here, this process, this in tabular form, this is the production process, or diagrammatic form, this is the production process. Moving forward, note that production is not equals to welfare. Productivity is the output per unit of input. Productivity is the efficiency with which output is produced in a given period by a factor or set of factors. That's an example. Labor productivity is the output per worker per unit of time. That's productivity is the output per unit of input per unit of time. And productivity is not equals to production. Production is the amount, is the output of economic resources, but productivity is the output per unit of input per unit of time. Okay, let's move forward. Types of production. There are two types of production. First is direct production. Direct production refers to production of goods for personal satisfaction. That is, producing for personal consumption. Example, cultivating tomatoes for personal consumption by a family, not for resale or not for the use of further production. The next, indirect production. Indirect production is when goods are produced to satisfy other people and using the money from sales to purchase your own wants. Like a farmer can produce coffee which he sells and uses the money to buy tomatoes for himself. Okay, we'll move now to the structure or stages of production. Production is done in stages, or it can be divided into different structures. First is primary production, secondary production, last tertiary production. Primary production is extractive, it's some sort of extractive This concerns extraction of raw materials. Here we have extractive industries or primary industries like uh, farming and all the like. Secondary deals with manufacturing. This is converting output primary output into a secondary state, that's manufacturing process. Tertiary deals with services, distribution, is distributive sector. So after all these have been produced or manufactured goods, the process of distributing them or providing services, that is called the tertiary sector. Examples of primary production is rubber or latex, rubber latex. This production of rubber is primary production. This moves forward. Rubber is used to produce tires and shoes. Producing these tires and shoes is secondary production. It's producing secondary goods. Okay. Using these tires and shoes now, wholesalers and retailers, people who buy these tires and shoes wholesale who buy and sell these shoes in wholesale or retail units, the tertiary part. So you see the process of shoe making and selling, that's the production process, and it goes through primary, secondary and tertiary production. Tertiary production may also include other services like teaching, being the services of a lawyer, musician, okay. And then, yes, the goods must end up with the customers, therefore completing the production process. We'll move forward to types of goods. Goods which are produced after the production process, during the production process, are divided into consumer goods. Consumer goods are goods which satisfy our wants directly. They can be divided into durable goods. Durable goods are consumer goods which satisfy us for a long time but depreciate with time. That's depreciate over that long time during their use. Examples are electric appliances like fridges, books, houses, while non-durable consumer goods are consumer goods which diminish as we use them, which are destroyed in the production process, like food, drinks, cigarette, chalk, yes. So the next type of goods are producer goods. These are also called capital goods and are used for the production of goods and services, are used for the further production of goods and services like machinery, factory building, raw materials, means of transport and communication. The last, services. These are intangible, non-transferable. That's, they cannot be quantified. They are not physical. Economic goods. Example are the services of a teacher and a lawyer and accountant, as I said, or tertiary goods. So they are produced mostly by tertiary process of production. Also, other goods include merit goods. Merit goods are goods which the society knows to have greater benefits for individuals than the individuals themselves realize. These are goods which have greater social benefits than private benefits, and they have the following characteristics. They are excludable, that someone who does not pay can be excluded from the consumption of merit goods. Merit goods, first of all, merit goods may include training, insurance, health services, educational services. Another characteristic of merit goods, they are subject to rivalry. That's a unit consumed by one person reduces the unit available to the other person, to another person coming to consume these goods. So there are rivalry. The goods are rivaled among consumers. Consumption of the good by one consumer hinders the consumption by another. The goods are rejectable. Anybody who does not want to consume the goods can or may not consume them. It's possible. Okay, these goods are very important, and the government may assist in the production of merit goods because they want to correct market failure. They want to provide basic services like health and education. This will redistribute income and for balanced development. Okay, and reduce illiteracy. Also, public goods and other goods that exist, and public goods are public goods are goods which are consumed by everyone, and they are non-rivalry. The consumption of a public good by one person does not hinder the consumption of another person. They are made for everybody and consumed by everybody. Examples are like public taps or public toilets. They are non-excludable, non-excludability. They are available for everybody and everybody consumes them. So they will not be produced they will mostly be produced by the government. The marginal cost is equal to zero. That is the cost of providing a public good to an additional person is zero once it has been installed. The marginal cost or the additional cost of supplying water on a public tap once it has been established to more people is zero. The tap is just there and more people get the water and there's no additional cost for all those people. Moving forward, wealth. Wealth means the total stock of goods and services existing at a particular time. That's the total stock of group. The total goods and services exist at a particular time. That is the wealth. The wealth of Cameroon is the total stock of goods and services existing in Cameroon at that time, like in 2014. Okay. Features of wealth. Wealth possesses utility. That's when you have wealth, it gives you satisfaction. When you have cars and money, it gives you satisfaction. That is your wealth at a particular time. Wealth must have a money value. Wealth, the goods and services which consist of wealth must have a money value. You must be able to sell or put a price tag on wealth owned. Wealth must be scarce. Wealth must be limited in supply. It is not excess. Ownership of wealth must be able to be transferred from one person to another. You can transfer your car or your inheritance or your money as inheritance from you to another person. That has to be a feature of wealth. Types of wealth. Personal wealth. Personal wealth is personal wealth, business wealth, social wealth. Personal wealth is personal belongings. That's what you have at a particular time, like your shoes, your money. That's your personal wealth. Business wealth is for the production of other goods and services. That's business wealth is like factory building. That's wealth for the production, used for the production of other goods and services. A computer. Social wealth is owned by the community. It's wealth for everybody, owned by everybody. It's just like the country's wealth. Okay. Note that all capital is wealth, but not all wealth is capital. All capital is used is goods used for further production of goods and services, and all of them are wealth, like a computer, a factory building. All of these are wealth, or even cash at hand, that is wealth. But not all wealth is capital. Not all goods and services can be used in the production of further goods and services. If you understand what I'm saying, an example is a bottle of Malta. It cannot be used to produce another good or services. It can only be consumed, and it is wealth at that particular time before its consumption. Okay, moving forward, we'll look at wealth and welfare. Welfare is the total well-being of a community in terms of health conditions, living conditions, working conditions, justice, and so on. So you see, wealth is a stock of good existing at a particular time, but welfare now is the well-being of the community. That's what is wealth, how it affects the community, how the community fares. That is welfare. And it can be in terms of health conditions, living conditions, working conditions. So wealth is not always equals to welfare, because ill health causes a reduction in welfare. But the richest person might be very, like Bill Gates. He was one of the richest people, but he died because it means he did not have enough welfare relative to his wealth. So moving forward, you see, wealth is proportionate to welfare, but not all wealth does not increase in wealth means increase in welfare, but does not always mean this. So let's finish this with overproduction. This concept of overproduction and underproduction. Overproduction is the case where the quantity supplied is more than the quantity demanded. Underproduction, on the other hand, is where the quantity supplied is less than the quantity demanded. This can be caused by the overproduction can be caused by the introduction of a minimum of floor price, and underproduction can be caused by a maximum introduction of a maximum price. Let's look at overproduction on a diagram. Price, quantity, supply and demand curve. They meet at equilibrium to form a price P and quantity Q. If a maximum price is usually above the equilibrium, if a maximum price is set above the equilibrium, a minimum price, is set above the equilibrium. If a minimum price is set above the equilibrium, P mean, this would lead to Q1 supply. People will supply more because they will sell at a higher price, Q1, and the quantity demanded at that price will reduce because price have increased, so people will demand less of the goods. Quantity demanded will reduce to Q2. Q1, Q2, OQ1, OQ2, this distance is the amount of goods. It represents the amount of goods overproduced. What is demanded is OQ1, but what is demanded is OQ2, but OQ1 is produced. So the difference between OQ1 and OQ2 is overproduction, overproduced goods. Contrary to this, underproduction is mostly caused by the introduction of a maximum price, say by the government. So price, quantity, supply curve, demand curve, they meet to form price, equilibrium price, and equilibrium quantity P and Q respectively. So introduction of a maximum price, P max, by the government will cause quantity demanded to increase to Q1. That's people now demand more of the good because the price has reduced to P max, and suppliers supply less of this good because their profits reduce. because the price of the good has reduced. So suppliers now supply Cure 2. You see, all Cure 1 is what people demand, and all Cure 2 is what is supplied. So you see, the distance between Cure 1 and Cure 2 is what is underproduced. It's what people want but they don't have, because what is produced is only all Cure 2. I hope you get that. This is what I'm trying to say. So overproduction and underproduction can be seen in these two diagrams. Okay, that's all for now for today. So look at the preferences. I hope you got the references. If you do not understand anything, diagrams or anything during the studies, for further, or if you understood and you want further knowledge on the subject, you can go through these references. The Beginner's Companion by Nwanji Victor and Chumlami Musa. You can go through Economics Made Easy by Whitehead, Elementary Economics by Harvey, Intermediary Economics by Harvey again. And you can also get get more information online. You can Google information or anything on google.com or wikipedia.org. Okay, goodbye, and remember, thumbs up to hard work and thumbs down to laziness.